Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Geek Blend. I am Jeff, and once again, I am joined by Lost Jedi 22 as we do our Orville Quantum Dive. And this time, we are reviewing Season 1, Episode 6, entitled Krill. So, off the bat, what were your initial thoughts when the episode was over?
I like this episode. Maybe not as much as the last one, but it was still pretty good. The opening was probably the best opening so far.
Yes, I will agree with that. Best opening. One of my favorite episodes so far. Not my favorite, but pretty close. Most everything in it worked for me. Most of the humor worked. There's a few things that didn't, but overall, a really good episode.
Yeah, we did not get a jar of pickles joke this time.
I was surprised. I was wondering if that was going to happen. But so basically, the beginning is they fight off a Krill ship that's attacking a planet. They capture a vessel. It's like a transport ship that I guess transport from one ship to another from a Krill ship. And then they have to go on board the Krill ship to basically find their Bible because they're trying to find a way to connect with the Krill and try to do some kind of peaceful negotiations. So Ed, the captain, and the pilot have to go undercover. And it's funny because they get these like devices that Isaac makes that are like holograms that can cover their body.
Yeah, they're like a little hologram emitter to disguise them rather than do actual cosmetic makeup.
And then basically they have to go on the ship and they have to infiltrate the Krill. But yeah, so once they get into the Krill ship, it's funny because they're like on the transport where they're on their way to the Krill ship. They're trying to like make up Krill names. And they even have these like elaborate names they're making as they're going towards the Krill ship. But when they get on board the ship and they ask them what their name is, Captain Mercer's like, well, my name's Chris and this is Devin. Did that joke with that kind of land for you?
A little bit. It paid off because they did the time on the shuttle where they were talking about it. I thought that would be a bit of a giveaway and make the Krill immediately suspicious. It'd be like them saying, it's Bob and Tom or something like that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think when they were traveling on the ship before they got to the actual Krill destroyer, me and you were talking about how they were trying to come up with these crazy names, but then when they got on the Krill ship, it would end up being like Rob and Craig and stuff like that for the Krill. But it didn't, which I thought would have been hilarious.
Yeah, it would have been more funny to me, had the Krill actually had very standard Earth-sounding names, and they were making up more elaborate, exotic-sounding names. If they would have reversed the joke, it would have been better for me. But it is what it is.
What'd you think of the whole plot with the Krill on the Krill ship? Like, well, they're actually infiltrating the destroyer.
I liked it. They were faced with the dilemma. They did get their copy of the Bible, and that mission was done, but then they discovered the Krill's other main mission, or that ship's main mission, I should say, was to launch this bioweapon, and they were going to use it on a colony. So they had to kind of adjust their plan to not only, bring back the book, but then stop the ship from doing it because they were limited on time. They wouldn't have been able to get back to the Orville and then relay the information to the Union so the Union could send a fleet to block it. It was put upon them to actually stop them. And then they discovered, oh my gosh, there's these cadet kind of creatures that are on the ship, and that kind of changed things. They didn't want to harm the children. I don't know if I would have been worried about the kids so much, considering that the cost was hundreds of thousands of Union people versus a ship with, a half a dozen kids or a dozen kids or so. But it played out. Then, they did their thing. They found a way to kind of kill everybody on the ship but the kids, which is still pretty brutal. And at the end, it was really kind of telling. There was a girl that they met on the ship that they kind of formed a little bit of a bond with. She was the teacher of the kids, and she ended up not dying as well. And they're talking at the very end of the episode. She's aboard the Orville, and she's kind of mad at him for lying and killing the crew, of course. And Ed was like, well, I couldn't kill the children. We're trying to make peace. And she's like, well, they hate you now. If they didn't before, they really hate you now because you killed the entire crew of that ship. And so ultimately, they're going to send these kids back to the Krill home planet, and they're going to have a bit of revenge in their hearts. So they really didn't, they didn't kill the kids, but the kids certainly aren't going to appreciate it. So it was kind of a little bit of all for naught, which, it was a good story to tell, though. I did like it.
And that definitely kind of puts a hankering in their peace mission for sure with the Krill. It's like I was going to bring at that point as well, which is a really good point. The fact that he goes in to see that Krill woman that they kind of created that bond with because her brother died on the ship that they were pretending to be from in the original, in the opening, that's the Krill ship they destroy. And you send these kids back to their families, and they're going to say the humans came on our ship and they murdered the entire crew brutally too. They cranked up the lights to basically almost like, standing out in the sun with extreme UV rays, like for us, and Krill being a species that on their own planet, they develop and they evolve in total darkness. So they don't have that light. And for the children to see them do that, they take that back to the planet and they tell everybody else about that. You're literally, shooting yourself in the foot with any kind of peace talks you might have now.
Well, yeah. And, the thing is they're justified. I mean, the Krill were going to just without mercy slaughter an entire planet worth of colonists. So I don't think either side has a particularly high moral ground to stand on, although I would say that I would side with the Union because what they did was defensive. Had they not been attempting to destroy and wipe out an entire colony, they wouldn't have done that to the crew. They would have just taken the information that they were there to gather, grab the shuttle, and get out of there. I personally wouldn't send the kids back.
Yeah.
But then again, you're talking about taking children as prisoners. I mean, it presents an interesting kind of a little bit of a moral dilemma. And that's the thing with wars. Each side's going to not see it the way they want to see it. So from the Krill perspective, hey, the Union people, after they destroyed one ship, they fried another ship's crew in extreme heat like they were ants under a magnifying glass. I mean, it was kind of gruesome. Yeah,
it was. It was a very brutal thing. And then when they first came on the ship and they're attending that Krill ceremony and their religion, they worship a deity named Avis. And of course, there was a couple of Avis rental car jokes in there. But then they pull out like a human head from another colony that this Krill worship has destroyed. And during this ceremony, they're literally repeatedly stabbing this human head over and over as they pray to Avis. So they're already a brutal race. So just get rid of everyone so there are no survivors and no one to tell anybody else about what you did on this ship.
Yeah, that would have been a solution. I don't know if I were in that exact scenario, if I could necessarily pull the trigger on kids, especially as brutally as they were going to, as the method that killing them was. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think the Avis stuff was, the rental car jokes actually were pretty funny to me. They worked, but in general, I found Malloy's character, the pilot, to be honestly really aggravating and annoying. If he was my officer, he wouldn't be very long. I would have punched his ass out. He was really obnoxious. He wouldn't shut his mouth. He was saying stuff that a Krill wouldn't say. He was really kind of an annoying character. I mean, other than in the opening when they were doing the food thing with Bortus, that was funny. His Avis jokes were landed for me, but the rest of it, he really kind of annoyed me. I don't like his character very much right now.
Yeah, you were right, because that Krill woman that was talking to them about them being on that ship, and she's like, "My brother died. Did you know him?" And he starts going on and on about how he knew his brother, how they like hung out together and took baths together and all that stuff. I'm like, even you said in the middle of the episode, you're like, just shut up, stop talking, because all you have to say is, "Yes, I knew him. He was a great man. Move on." But literally, you're putting yourself in an awkward situation, and you're trying to be undercover, and you're literally about to blow your cover.
Yeah, they weren't very good undercover people.
No.
Here's the thing: is unless you had studied the crew manifest of everybody that was on the ship that you're saying you're coming from, if you're undercover, you would have said like, "No, I never met him. I'm not familiar with that name," because she could be making up a name, and you'd be immediately caught and be like, "Oh, that's interesting," because that's not his name. It's an easy trap to fall into. So if you don't know the person that they're referring to or answer to, you can't pretend you do, or you shouldn't pretend that you do, because you can get caught in one of those traps. The correct answer for him would have been saying, "No, we didn't know him."
Yeah, that's true. That's what I would have done. You were talking about the Avis rental car jokes. There was one when the head of the religion for, I guess, the priest or whatever for their ship came in while they were trying to scan the Krill Bible, and they're like, he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, we're praying to Avis. We're trying to see if we're praying to Avis to make sure we're covered." And it was at the one, I think that's the one I laughed pretty hard at. Yeah,
you did.
That was pretty funny, and his delivery of that was good. There's a lot of jokes that worked. I will agree with you 100%. Absolutely 100%. Malloy's character on this one bothered me because of the way he just kept talking when he's undercover and he wouldn't shut the hell up. And I'm like, if I was the Captain Mercer, I would have pulled him aside and be like, "If you jeopardize this mission in any way, one more time, I will demote you. You will be taken off the Orville, and I will send you back to the Union."
Yeah, wherever you came from. Yeah, he was very
because you're not being professional.
Yeah, Ed came off to me as being a much more kind of competent guy than the lovable doof character that they were kind of setting him up to be initially. Like he was kind of badass when he's taking out Krill, and I learned to like him as much as I started disliking Malloy. I learned to start liking Ed a little bit more. I appreciated his character a bit more.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. And I was thinking the same thing when he was doing this. Like he did like a roll under one of the Krill and then got back up and shot him from behind. This episode made me grow to like his character much more.
But overall, great episode. I was thoroughly entertained. Looking forward to the next one.
Me too. I really was. I'm really looking forward to the next one. And the farther we get into the show and the better the episodes get, the more I'm looking forward to seeing them when we get to do these episodes. So you guys will be seeing this on Thursday, and we will be doing them every Thursday. So I did enjoy this episode. And that will be our episode 6, season 1 review. The episode is entitled Krill, and we really both enjoyed it and looking forward to next week. So we will see you guys then. I'm Jeff with the Geek Blend, and remember, if you geek about it, we'll speak about it.